Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching around the world. Welcome back to the show. We're doing another live Q&A with myself and Lee Judges. Lee Judges, how the devil are you, sir?
Yeah, a little bit better now, like, you know what I mean? I've got my anger out, like, you know what I mean? And, yeah, couldn't believe what I saw yesterday. Dermot Gallagher.
Well, I wanted to start there, Lee. I'm not going to lie. I know that we've got
Yeah,
a question that we're going to get in some people in the chat.
Dermot
So put
Gallagher.
your questions in below. Put your questions in where you think we need to strengthen because we are going to come to that. But I do want to come to this firstly because I saw something yesterday which shocked me like you, and I messaged you. And it was Dermot Gallagher talking 3 years ago about how David Luiz deserved to get sent off for a tangling of legs against Wolves. Red card, penalty. Fast forward, should I say, 3 years later, or 3 seasons later, should I say. And a tangling of legs is no longer a penalty, according to Mr. Dermot Gallagher this weekend. Isn't it funny, Lee, that we now see a completely different side to Dermot Gallagher? I know that I'm not with you in terms of this corruption and this bias stuff, but I don't think you can get more biased or corrupt than that, really, mate, if I'm honest with you. That is an absolute shambles, Lee.
It's a joke. And listen, when I say bias and corrupt or whatever, right, my argument is, right, that these people in charge of VAR, and it ain't just Arsenal. I'm not saying it's corrupt to Arsenal. Look at West Ham and Bournemouth yesterday. You know, a couple of decisions in there. What's handball and what's not, I don't know. But that's by the by. It's not just Arsenal because I see Callum Wilson have a blatant penalty against Man United not given, right? Same as our one. So it's not just Arsenal. These are supposed to be the best referees in the world, in this country, the elite. It's like you're being the best at your job. It's like being a surgeon, right? Yeah, this is what referees are like, right? This is the analogy of a surgeon, right? You've got a dodgy toe, right? So you have to have your toe off, like, and when you wake up in the morning, you've got no cock. This is what they're fucking like. You know what I mean? Like, right? This is what they are like, right? Yeah. It is unreal because they're supposed to be the best in the job and they're getting every fucking thing wrong, Dan. Everything wrong. And this is what I'm saying now. It's become big. So I'm saying this now. It wouldn't surprise me in 5 years' time that a referee is arrested for corruption or lying, you know, and took a bung or whatever, because I cannot see why they're getting all these wrong. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I watched the Bournemouth game. I didn't see the Bournemouth game, but I've seen the highlights. No, they're all going, it's definitely not a goal, and they're giving it, you know. And then you see that penalty, right? You see that penalty again for Arsenal, right? Yeah, and people go, yeah, what? And they're trying to defend it. Dermot Gallagher's trying to defend it, like, you know, Mark Horses come out and says it's a definite penalty. Don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, says it how it is. Do you know why? Because he don't give them if no more. But like Dermot, it's just a a joke. And then what makes me laugh about that Dermot Gallagher, right, is, and I'd like to bring, no one pulls him up on this. They set him up really for it. They showed the McTominay one. And he said, "Oh yeah, definitely grabbing him there, definite penalty." Like, and then they show this next one, and they don't. He says, "Oh, it's a tangling of legs." You know what I mean? And then last week, oh yes, Pickford's hero did touch Harry Kane. It's a definite penalty, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's shooting, like, you know what I mean? So I just feel it's, you know, becoming a joke now. Like, I don't know what people want to, if they want to ask questions about referees and all that, or are we just fed up with it now? Like, but listen, when someone turns around to me now, Dan, and I'm going to say this, my last bit on it now, and says the Premier League is the best league in the world, it's not. It's not, and the reason is because of the officiating.
100%, mate. In terms of the quality, I think it is the best in the world. And when we look at the quality of officials, however, I think we're the worst, mate. It's absolutely shambolic. We're going to do some quick fire questions, Lee. We're going to get some questions in here now. We're going to throw some questions up. Do us a favour, though, in the chat. Make sure you put a Q next to it so it makes it easiest for us, so you know that you're asking us a question. Anything you want in relation to Arsenal at the moment. Obviously, we've titled it into where we want to strengthen. So if you want to start there, we can do. Dave is in the background. He will flick the questions up. So let's have the first one, please, Dave. Is he gone to sleep? Here he is. This one is Lee. Let's put this to you. Do you think we should keep the VAR or take it away? Good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. Like, you know what I mean? Listen, what's that when you've opened Pandora's box? You know what I mean? You can't go back now, like, you know. And uh, listen, I don't think VAR is the problem. I'll tell you where the only thing I would say the problem with VAR is when it's like, say like that incident with Lloris and Wilson. You know, VAR, it's an opinion. It's not fact. Is it a foul? Is it not? It's an opinion. So from that point of view, I just think at the end of the day, keep VAR, but only when it's clear and obvious. When you're starting getting out rulers for someone's toe now is offside and all that. It's like me and you play. Like a fella said this today, like Dan, right? We could be playing a game because you've got size 8 feet and I've got size 10 feet. I'm going to be offside. You know what I mean? That's just absolutely ridiculous.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? Like, so that ain't what it's there for. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, go, keep it. But the people in charge of it now have got to be made accountable for it and sacked
Yeah,
and get
fair
people in
enough,
that know
mate.
what they're doing.
Listen, I'll get rid of it personally because
Yeah,
I think I've had enough of
I'm
it.
with you.
I'll
Yeah,
go
get
back
rid of
the
it.
old way now. Goal leg technology, keep it. VAR, scrap it, mate. Let's
Yeah,
have the next question up, Dave. Let's see what we're moving on to next question-wise. We've got one from Don J. He says, Dan, do you sing the Arteta or the Chaka songs? I sing the Granit Chaka song. How can I not this season? Unbelievable. And I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with everybody now. If those lyrics of the Arteta song change, I'll sing it. If it starts singing Arsenal on their way to the Premier League, I'll sing it.
yeah. I
There we
actually
go.
sing that bit.
I'll make a deal with you. I'll sing We Got Super Mick Arteta. He knows exactly what we need. Tierney at the back, Gabby in attack. Arsenal going to win the Premier League. I'll sing that if we change it. I ain't singing about coming fourth. This is the thing, Lee. People think I don't sing it because I don't like Arteta. It's not that. I don't like singing songs about getting into fourth place.
No,
That's
I
what I
agree.
say anyway.
And do you know what?
So
When people say it's not realistic and all that, like, but I tell you, the best song that ever at Arsenal, and it gets the most views, when by far the greatest team the world
there
has
you
ever
go.
seen.
There you
You
go.
know what I mean? And it gets, it's a fantastic song, and it gets everybody
Yeah.
going. It's not really like fact, we know that, like, because we're not, but we do it, and I think at the end of the day, when I sing that song now. But at the end of it, I go Arsenal on the way to win the Premier League. I say it every time because even if we ain't going to win it, it's not the point. It's not the
Mm.
point. I'm with you on that. Like, you know what I mean? Arsenal on the way to Champions League. You know what I mean? Like, listen, we sacked a manager for not getting into the Champions League, so I'm
I
not
know.
having that no more. Like, you know what I
Crazy,
mean?
isn't it?
So,
I
crazy.
don't understand it, mate. I really am surprised. Unai Emery is the next one we want to talk about. Okay, this is my take on this, Lee, right? He
Go on.
likes a Villa. He likes a Villa, does Emery. He likes a Sevilla. He's managed them. He likes a Villa Real. He manages them. And now he's gone to an Aston Villa. So he likes a Villa or Aston Villa, as people keep taking a mick out of him. Listen, I hope Unai Emery does well, Lee. I've got nothing against him. I thought he deserved to be sacked at Arsenal. I thought he'd lost the dressing room. They'd all
Yeah,
down tools on him and things had got bad. But I don't think he was the absolute shocker of a guy. I think he did some good things. I always remember him for getting us to the Europa League final and getting us just a point off a top four, which this manager's done and people love. So although I think this manager is definitely taking us somewhere now, I don't think that Unai Emery was. What I will say, though, is we need to thank him for Granit Xhaka because he gave him the captaincy. We need to thank him for Kieran Tierney for signing him. We need to thank him for Gabriel Martinelli signing him. We need to thank him for Saka's debut. Thank him for Smith Rowe's debut. So there's a lot of things we can remember Emery for to say thank you for. I don't think we should be hating on him. And I hope he does well at Villa, mate. What's your thoughts, Lee?
yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. I got no problem with him. He just didn't work out at Arsenal, and it just wasn't. Listen, timing was never right for him. Like, you know what I mean? But I'm glad he's got another opportunity, and I quite liked him as a person and whatever. It just wasn't for Arsenal. For me, I hope he really does well at Aston Villa. Yeah, I've got no problems with that whatsoever. Good luck to him.
Yeah, fair play, man. This one comes in from Marcus. Thank you, Marcus. We need a forward, someone to compete with Party, and a left-footed centre back. Your thoughts? Yeah, mate, I'm going to take this one. I believe that he's right there. I think a forward is definitely where we're lacking. If Jesus was to get a long-term injury, Lee, I really do worry that Eddie Nketiah is the right guy to take us forward. I ain't seen enough this season to think, do you know what? You're ready, mate. You are definitely ready. Like, get him on that field because he's going to bang him in. And I know he's got a couple of goals against the Europa League teams like the Zurichs of this world. But when I look at things, realistically, when he's coming on in Premier League games, it isn't doing enough for me. In terms of competing with Partey, I mean, that's the main position for me. Defensive midfield is definitely where we're lacking, and I actually think we're lacking for a backup for Granit Xhaka at the moment. I think if he was to go out the team, we'd struggle. A left-footed centre-back, though, Lee, is what I want to ask you about, because for me, at the moment, we're seeing Gabriel play a lot of football midweek and at
Mm.
the Premier League because there's no other left-footed centre back at the club. The one we did have was Pablo Mari, who's now left, and Rob Holding is right-footed. So Mikel Arteta believes this is a real must at the club. Now, Austin Trusty is a a left-footed centre back at Birmingham, and he's doing very well. Whether he's ready next season or not, I ain't seen enough of him yet to know that. But I do think there's a worry there because if he's not going to be playing anybody other than Gabriel, then we might need to strengthen in the summer. What's your thoughts there, mate?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I don't think it's always totally necessary. And I've got a little feeling that Kieran Tierney could actually play in there as well. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe like, this versatility and everything like that. Listen, Mikel put Eddie out on the wing, so why can't he put Tierney in a central
There you go.
defence? Like, you know what I mean? So, but I think it's that. I do think we've got probably more important areas to fill. I think midfield is definite for me. I think we need two midfield players. I really do. I think we need to really strengthen in that area. And a Zaha would be a very nice January for me.
Yeah, very, very nice January. Well, this one comes in from Cheap Heat Productions podcast. It says, which striker would you guys sign in January, whether it be a short-term solution or a long-term
Mm.
target? Well, listen, Lee, if money's no option, I'd go and get Tammy Abraham because I really like everything that he would bring to Arsenal. I think he brings goals, Premier League experience, and also he's at the right age and a different profiled striker, someone who's tall, someone can hold the ball up, but more importantly, someone who knows where the goal is. And something that he does bring to Arsenal, which I think perhaps we've lacked since the Giroud days, is that aerial threat and different dimensions centre forward. But I don't think that's a realistic target, particularly certainly in January. I would do what I could to try and bring Ivan Toney to Arsenal. I
Yeah,
really like what I see from Ivan Toney, and he's scoring in the Premier League, and I think he would come to Arsenal. He looks like he has that mentality. Mitrovic is another one people are talking about yesterday, but for me, I think if I could have one or the other, I think I'd go with Toney because I think he can do a little bit of everything. So that's who I'd go for. What about yourself, Lee?
exactly them two. I'd still go in for Vlahovic at Juventus. I
Yeah,
really do like
good
him
shout.
as well. Like, you know what I mean? Things are not working out for him at Juventus, by the way. Probably like chose the wrong option, like, you know what I mean. So, yeah, they're the three options I would go with, and I'd definitely next season with hopefully Champions League football. I'll be bringing Bellingham would be coming back as well. You know what I mean. So we've got four
Doing well, Lee. Doing
strikers
well,
doing
Balogun.
very very well. Like, you know what I mean. So
Yeah, good to see, man.
I wouldn't think that he's going to push into the first team at this moment in time. But I think that, definitely, needs to go. I think that he would be really been terrific for us in these Europa League games. But it was better he went out on loan. So they're the three or four that I would go for anyway. But I do think
Fair
we
enough,
need
mate.
a centre forward where we can ping balls into the box and change it up a little bit. Like, I do think that we need that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, fair play to you. This one has come from GB. It says, we know that Newcastle will not hesitate to strengthen in January if they're in the top four mix, which they now are. Are we worried that Arsenal will have another January like we did last time? And would that put us in a real fight, Lee?
Listen, if Arsenal don't strengthen in January, you can forget about top four. You can forget about winning the league or challenging for the league, and you can forget about the Europa League. If Arsenal do not invest in the summer and bring in players, because you cannot compete on four fronts going after the World Cup. We can't compete on two. We're flagging a little bit now, if the truth be known. You know what I mean? Like, as you can see. So if they don't bring in reinforcements in January, by the end of that season, if there's no signings in January, forget about it. Arsenal will not finish in the top four.
Listen, I think you're talking facts, mate. I'm with you there. Don Arsenal TV. Lee and Dan, do you think Lee and Dan, do you think players and managers should boycott games if referees and VAR keep going like this? Well,
Fans as well, yeah. Fans as
I
well.
mean, something's got to be done. Fans as well. Good shout. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Listen, VAR is an absolute. I think we're talking about it every single week at the moment, aren't we? And it is absolutely ruining games and fixtures. And it ain't just Arsenal's. We're not sitting here moaning people because it's Arsenal. We see shocking decisions last night watching West Ham Bournemouth. I don't understand what a handball is anymore. I don't understand what an offside is anymore. I don't get what a penalty is anymore. I'm very confused. So VAR, scrap it, mate, because it's not worked. It's shockingly bad. Um, Lee, when are you coming to Singapore? Fancy a trip to Singapore, Lee?
Oh, I'd like to go to Singapore, like, one day, hopefully, like, you know what I mean? Love to go
Maybe if
there.
we go to Oz or New Zealand, we can stop over there, can't we?
Yeah, we'll stop over in
And say hello.
Singapore, like, that'd be good.
That would be good. Don Arsenal TV, thanks again, mate. He says Emery or Arteta, who's better? Who's better for Arsenal or who's the better manager? I don't understand the question. If it's who's
Yeah,
better for
that's
Arsenal,
a great
then it's Mikel
break it up.
Arteta.
Yeah,
If it's better
but I
for
think
Arsenal,
that
then it's Mikel Arteta because Emery doesn't work. If you're looking at who's the better manager, then Unai Emery is better manager. Lee.
exactly that. Like, I think like for Arsenal, it's definitely Mikel Arteta. Potentially, he's going to be a very very good manager. As we all hope that he will be. But you know, the record for Emery speaks for itself. He's one where he's gone. He's also done something at Arsenal which we need this season. That's to get us to the final. He didn't produce it in the final, but he got us to a Europa League final. So you know, I would say that exactly that.
There we go, mate. 4 Europa Leagues, mate. Wow. 4 Europa Leagues for Unai Emery. Fair play to him. Jason says, do you think Balogun can be our backup striker next season? He's already scored 7 in 10. Lee.
100%. I think he's got everything going for him, and he is that bigger centre forward. And maybe like he will save Arsenal a lot of money.
Fair play. Next, listen, I think Balogun is going to be a good player. I feel like he's going to be better than Eddie Nketiah. I do. I think he will be. But maybe he needs a bit of time because obviously we're looking at it right now, and he's scoring goals and doing well at the moment. But whether he'll take that kind of form over to the Premier League is yet to be seen, mate. So we shall see.
Yeah.
We shall see. What we got next, Dave? We have got Don Arsenal TV again. It says, does Jesus score 15 goals this season? If yes, is it good enough or need more? I said he'd score 15. Actually, that was a number I guessed or anticipated or estimated that he'd get. What's your thoughts now, Lee?
Disappointed if you don't get 15. You know what I mean? Like it should have about 3 or 4 more than what he's got now. Like he will create chances. You know, someone made a good point. I think it might have been Turkish made the point. You know, he's the one that wins the ball back in midfield for that when he's on one. You know what I mean? Like, and everybody criticises, but if he doesn't make that challenge, he doesn't get that chance. So he'll make chances, he'll create chances, and he's got to take his chances. And that's the only thing that's lacking from his game at the moment. If he'd have took a couple of goals in the last, he should, everybody be going mad about him. It is a weakness in his game, his finishing. He needs to improve on it. But I think he'll get 15, yeah.
Fair play. The hamster, he says, I'd love to see Joao Felix in January. Would be incredibly expensive, but he's still a generational talent, in my opinion. Things ain't worked out for him over there. I'm not so sure that he's the
Yeah.
type of centre forward that we need. He's very lightweight, and I'm not so sure he'd make it in the Premier League, if I'm honest with you. I've not been too impressed since he's gone there for what was a massive fee. Wouldn't be my number one choice, I can't lie. But
No, no mind.
no, there we go. I think we need a different profiled striker, if I'm honest, someone a little bit taller. I know Ivan Toney's only actually 5'11", but I would look at someone as of a different profiled striker. Thoughts on Charlie Patino? He's had a great season, by the way, at Blackpool. Everyone's bigging him up, and he scored again at the weekend, Lee.
Doing really well. I was seeing some comments from Blackpool fans, and they've been really, really impressed with him. Started off a little bit tough, but we can see he's a good talent. And listen, that playing in the Championship will beef him up for a season. So I think that's a good move for him. And I think he's going to be a very, very good prospect for us.
Fair play, man. I'm a big fan, and what I've seen so far, it looks decent. Darren, like my father before me, says about the take on Erdegaard last week, a beautiful dink chip and a lovely through pass to Jesus and another through pass to Eddie. He did his job. If the striker did, there we finish 4-1 winners. Yeah, absolutely spot on. I thought Erdegaard put some great passes through, and we didn't finish the chances, man. We really didn't. I think with Erdegaard, what frustrates me more than his lack of creativity, because he does create chances, is doesn't look like scoring, and his
Yeah,
shooting is
that's his
poor.
weakness. I'm
It's a
with you
real
on that.
weakness of his. Yeah, no, it's
You
a
know,
real weakness of his. And
it's the true what they're saying there. If he scores, if that little chip goes and Jesus scores it, it's another assist for
yep,
Odegaard, and and he does do that. But he had a very very good chance in the first half. Didn't put it on target, and there's times when he should be passing, and he shoots, and when he should be shooting, he's passing. So he needs to sort that out in the final third. If he does, we've got a plan around. But he hasn't been quite at it as far as goal scoring as in the last few games.
100. Don Arsenal again says, what is Jesus' job at Arsenal? Is it dribbling or scoring? I think it's both, Lee, isn't it?
Both, yeah.
I think he does a bit of everything, mate, if I'm honest with you. I think his link up plays superb as well. Marcus says, what do you think is wrong with Eddie and Jesus? Seems to be snatching at chances, hence goals have dried up. Well, Eddie, I just don't think is Arsenal quality, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. I just never have. And I know I'm not alone on that one. Jesus, however, is. I think with Jesus, it's dried up. You're going to get this with strikers at times, and he did it at Man City. That's why he never scored 25, 30. I don't think anybody, well, there were some Arsenal fans that thought he was going to score 30 or 40. I never thought that. I always give him 15 goals a season this season as being realistic target for him. It's dried up a bit, but I think the goals will come, Lee. What's your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, listen, I think we're getting a little bit too overboard about the Jesus thing. Like, he was scoring goals and that. He's just missed a few chances in the last few games. What I would say to that is I'd rather him be missing the chances than not having the chances. And as I said earlier on, he's creating some of himself and all that. He will come good. Don't worry about that. Too good a plan not to.
Yeah, he is, and I'm a big fan. And I look at what he has done so far, and I don't think we can then get on his back when he hasn't scored for a couple of games. So, for me, it's interesting to see where his form goes from here. Opinions on Patrick Schick. I'm a big fan of Patrick Schick. 35 goals for Bayern Leverkusen in 66 games is a really good record for him, and does well for his country as well. And he's a bit of a different option. I think he's that different dimension striker that you get, and I wouldn't be against that. Lee, do you know much about Patrick Schick?
I've only seen him when he's been playing international football when he's looked decent. Yeah, like we need somebody like that, somebody that just gives you a plan B, and that's what he is. You know what I mean? Like, great comment. Someone saying if you brought in Vlahovic, would he be like the number one, or would Jesus be the number one? Like, and I get that. That is the problem you got. But if you brought in somebody like that, there isn't that conflict. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and again, it's horses for courses. Sometimes you're going to need the big man up there, other times you're not. So yeah, so I think somebody of that ilk is what we should be looking at. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of him, mate. I can't lie. I think we're good for questions. Much appreciate that, everyone. Love doing these little shows,
Yeah,
Lee.
brilliant night, mate. So yeah, really
Absolutely.
enjoyed that night. Yeah.
No, it's got to be done. Guys, thanks so much. We're going to love you and leave you. We're going to be back next week to do this because we're going to try and do a lunchtime show. And we will love you and leave you now. Thank you to Lee Judges. Enjoy the midweek game, mate.
Yeah.
I know you've got to go and get your train now, so we'll love you and leave you, Lee. And
Okay.
thanks to everyone in the chat. Quick prediction, Lee, actually, midweek.
1-1.
Oh, 1-1. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to the Arsenal. Why not? I'm
Why
feeling
not?
lucky.
Brilliant. Love it.
Great stuff. Guys, we'll love you and leave you. We'll see you next time. And as always, up the Arsenal.